This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, in last session, just we're trying to understand how we can register and how we can work with Salesforce. So in general, right, when you join in any company, right, so ultimately after this training, you will be applying for a job and you will be joining in one of the company where you need to work on Salesforce. Okay, so what will happen here in this example, right? Airtel is one of the company. They have the requirement to have the CRM application, and they have a team, Pallavi and 4 team members. They need to get the CRM application for Airtel company. They are considering Salesforce platform, right? So they want to try with Salesforce, right? So they can go to the Salesforce website and register for 1 month, right? There are Salesforce editions and they can explore and so if you assume that they registered for unlimited edition, they get 1 month, right? So maybe so initially Pallavi and the team, they explore how the Salesforce looks and all those things. Yesterday already we saw how we log into Salesforce and see the standard applications. In the same way, they explore, let's say they understand Salesforce is good and they want to continue with Salesforce. Okay, so then they pay the license fee, right? All those things will be done by the higher level management. In general, as a Salesforce employee, we don't deal those kind of things. But at high level, the management, they pay the licenses and they get the full account where it won't expire, right? So since we don't want to pay anything, we registered in developer edition account yesterday, right? If you remember, there are some limitations. So now, so once, right, they have the account and already yesterday we saw, right, as part of the production, there are different applications, marketing and sales and also service. Okay, so these are the applications available. So the thing is, they might have many requirements on top of the standard applications, whatever Salesforce offer, right? So there are different types of companies. Airtel is one kind of company. Apple is one kind of company, right? Dell, or maybe some companies, Philips, healthcare companies are there, right? So based on the industry of the company, they might not use these applications as it is. They need some enhancements on top of this. They want to modify these standard applications, whatever Salesforce provide as per the business needs. Okay, Airtel company, they identified the standard applications are good, but on top of that, they have many requirements. Okay, so assume that the Airtel team, right? So they have identified, let's say 100 requirements. They identified some requirements might be very small, big requirements, different requirements, right? They need all these enhancements on top of the standard applications. Yeah, now what will happen? Maybe Airtel is a company, right? They might not have the IT department, or maybe they don't have the employees who can work on Salesforce, right? This company, they invite many service-based companies for bidding. Let's say to achieve these 100 requirements, they invite companies like Wipro, CTS, TCS, some companies for the bidding. Let's say Wipro is one of the software company, right? They won the bidding. Okay, So that means Wipro, that company, they assign a team to work on the requirements of the Airtel, right? Maybe they give a manager, right? Maybe team lead, and let's say 3 admin or developers. Let's say 1 QA member who can do the testing. Let's say this team is assigned to work on this Airtel requirements, right? In general, mostly when you get the job, we get the job in this Wipro company. Let's say if you get the job in Wipro company, Wipro, they have many projects. They have many clients like Airtel, Apple, Dell, like that, right? So, right when we join in Wipro or CTS, some company, they assign to a project where we might be working for a client like Airtel, right? So now, when we get the job, we'll be in this group. You might be joined as a admin or developer or team lead, like that, right? Let's say you want to do the Salesforce testing, you'll be joining as a QA. QA means quality assurance tester, right? We'll be joining as part of this group, and our job is working for 100 requirements, whatever Airtel company identified, right? So now this team need access to this Airtel company Salesforce account, right? The employees of the Airtel company, they provide access to this, right? Will gain access to that Airtel. So like that, right? All this team also can access this production and they can see the information. But the thing is to work for the requirements, right? To enhance the existing applications to work, not only Salesforce, any technology, directly the production should not be touched, right? Production is a live place. So directly in production, we don't do any new enhancement, right? So we need to work in some temporary test environment. Once we done with the development and the testing, then only we move to production. So not only Salesforce, if you take any other technology, same process. Okay. So since we should not work in production directly, so what will happen? Salesforce, they are offering sandboxes. Okay, you can see a option called sandboxes when you log into production, and the sandboxes can be created, and we work in the sandbox. Okay, so sandbox is nothing but whatever the applications present in production, all those things will be copied into some other temporary place, some other place where we work on top of that and do the testing, finally move those changes to production. So that's what we do. In general, right, when we work in any project, right, development life cycle, right? So you join in any company, mostly what will happen, we don't directly get access to production, right? As a admin, as a developer, especially as a other than the core system admin, testers and everyone, we get access to sandbox, right? Production is the live application. In general, first we work in the dev sandbox, right? So sandbox is nothing but a test environment. Okay, so I'll show you how the sandbox can be created. But in general, what happens when you join in a company, first, any work, whatever we want to do, we need to work in a dev sandbox, right? Once we work in the dev sandbox, after doing the testing, the changes will be deployed to QA sandbox. QA means quality assurance. the testing team, they do the testing in that sandbox. Right after that, most of the projects they maintain like this: UAT. UAT means user acceptance testing. The end users do the testing. Right? Maybe here in Dev, the Wipro employees, all these people, they do the development. QA, the QA resource of the Wipro company, they do the testing here. UAT, right? UAT means user acceptance testing. Maybe one of the employee from the client side, Airtel company, they do the testing. Once the Airtel team, if they satisfy, if they sign off, finally the changes we deploy to production, right? We also say prod. So mostly this is the process you see in most of the companies. Okay, it's not 100% every projects they do like this. No, maybe in some projects they might not be maintaining QA, just like this. Maybe in some projects additionally they might be uh, maintaining a sandbox called staging, right? Maybe in some companies what happens, they maintain dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, and all those things will be deployed to QA like that, right? Sometimes what will happen, Airtel company, they give some part of the project to Wipro, let's say some part of the project to CTS, something like that. Maybe they create dev 1 for Wipro, right? Dev 2 maybe for CTS, right? Once after working, these things will be finally deployed to QA. From here it will be deployed. Like this also will happen, right? It's all based on the project where we work. So just understand this one. Now the big question, right? Yesterday I explained how we can register, and once we register, whatever we get is the production. So since we don't want to pay anything, right? I asked you to register in the developer.salesforce.com. When you click on sign up, when you fill the form and check your email, and after setting the password, whatever the account we get, that is nothing but production, right? To log into production, we need to go to this login.salesforce.com and enter the username and the password, whatever we have, right? So yesterday, this is the account we registered, right? I'm giving the username and password and login, right? So initially, the Airtel team, let's say Pallavi, and Pallavi can create a few more users for the colleagues. All those people, they can log in and they can access this Salesforce CRM production, right? So to see the applications, I am saying you need to click on App Launcher, Marketing, Service, Sales, right? You can search and you can open those applications. Yesterday at high level, we saw a few applications, how those looks. I'll also explain more about that, okay? So now I'm saying whatever the applications exactly the Salesforce is offering. Let's say this marketing application. They want to have some, they have some requirement, right? So they want something, some new screen. They want to add one more new tab here and to show some screen, which is not provided by Salesforce. That is like a requirement, which is not provided by Salesforce, but Airtel company, they want that feature. So they have listed all these requirements, right? But we should not directly work in this production. I'm saying that this is a production. Production is the live application. Any new requirement enhancement is there, that should not be directly done in the production, right? So what will happen? let's say now when you join in this Wipro, it's our job to, we know that we should not work in the production. We need like this. We need these kind of sandboxes, right? So maybe this we don't want for now. So we need these kind of sandboxes to maintain the development lifecycle. So that can be created, right? Once you log in. Okay, so if you are not in the setup area, you need to click on gear icon and click on setup. So left side, you will find an option called sandboxes. Okay. So now if you see nothing is there, so one of the point is whatever the account we registered is a developer edition, right? So one of the limitation is sandboxes you cannot create, right? Since it is a free account, Salesforce is not allowing to create the sandbox. So that's the one of the limitation for us just to explore Salesforce. So really, it's not like a business, right? Just this account is only for our practice. Okay, so even though we don't have the option to create the sandbox, it is fine, right? So to avoid misusing, Salesforce is not providing sandbox. Okay, we continue working directly in this developer edition production because that is not real business. But when you work for a client like Airtel or someone, they'll be having the option to create the sandbox. Now, if you don't see that, again, you might be having the confusion. So for that, what I'll do, I have the Salesforce CRM to manage my training. I also have account with Salesforce, right? So since I'm paying to Salesforce and have a company name. So in my production account, you can see the option called sandbox. I'll show you that. Okay. So again, login.salesforce.com. Okay, just I'm passing my screen. I'm just trying to log into my production account. Okay. Okay, again, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, I have logged into the production account, right? Maybe, so all you need to understand, so all of you, maybe some of you might be already registered for the developer relation account. You might not see, right, option for, I mean, for sure you don't see the option called sandboxes. Okay. So you see this sandboxes option only in the paid account. Just understand this one. Only this is missing in the developer edition. So otherwise, um, everything else will be there in the developer edition, even beyond the license one, because this is the licensed one. I took only license for sales, right? I don't have any service application, right? If you see the app launcher, only sales is there, right? Service, you see service is not there. Marketing is not there. I only paid for sales application. Okay, so it is also based on the edition, based on what the client want. They can only pay for that and get it. Okay, so we need to bargain with Salesforce and get it. It's like that. Okay, so I mean, people ask, since we don't have the real production how it looks, something like that, right? Exactly, without any change, right? Exactly however you see when you register for the developer edition, whatever the standard applications you see, same thing you see in the real production also, unless they modify something or customize on top of that something. Okay, so in that way, no need to bother about how the real time looks. Exactly same what you do in the developer edition. Even in my real account, there are many limitations because I need to pay for getting, right? So beyond what we don't see in the paid account, you see in the developer edition account, almost all the features. Only the limitation, so you cannot create the sandboxes. Now here you are seeing sandboxes. If you see, I created sandboxes with the name dev, QA, UAT, maybe training, one of the sandbox I created. Okay, so based on the number of licenses, you can manage creating these sandboxes. Okay, and so once this sandbox is created, what will happen in this, right? This is production. In this, whatever the applications are there, everything will be copied into these sandboxes. Okay, so to log into any sandbox, right? I told that to log into production, the URL is login.salesforce.com. Okay, in the same way, to log into the sandbox, right? So we have these sandboxes, right? So let's say for our examples, let's say we have this QA and UAT, these sandboxes. Um, so to log into any sandbox, the URL is this test.salesforce.com. Okay, this is the URL. Okay, let me open. Okay, I'm opening in a new Chrome tab, test.salesforce.com. If you see here, right, username and password, you can enter and log in. Now the question is, there are many sandboxes, right? Dev, QA, UAT, for everything same URL, yes. But how we know we are trying to log into Dev or QA or UAT? Production will be only one production, right? Only one production. But sandboxes can be many sandboxes. One sandbox is for development purpose, one is for QA testing, UAT testing. Okay, so the thing is how it will be varied, right? Now here we have username. Let's say this is the production username and password, right? So now what will happen when the same user is created in the sandbox, let's say dev sandbox, we follow some naming conventions. Okay, so let's say Pallavi dot last name @ this company.com. So when this user is created in the dev sandbox, at the end of the username, dev, right? In the same way, if the same user, right, same user can be having access to dev, QA, UAT, right? So we maintain like this, right? When the same user is having access to UAT, they'll gain access like this. Okay, so just understand these points. Okay, now what will happen once after this training, you apply for the job, and after getting the job, the first step after onboarding, the first thing, so what will happen? They will be giving access to one of this sandbox, right? To look into what is the current application, and right, they give some time to explore and understand, right? So that time we should know sandbox means that time if you don't know about sandbox, it is a problem, right? So sandbox is a test environment. Instead of directly working in production, we work in the sandbox. There will be many sandboxes. Mostly as a developer, first we start with the dev sandbox. Okay, so we get this, and you need to know where you need to log in, right? Go to that, right? The generic URL to log into Sandbox is test.salesforce.com. Enter your username and the password and login, right? So just that you need to know. Okay, so only when you try to log into production, we use login.salesforce.com and provide the production username and the password and login. So mostly this we don't do daily, right? Mostly when you join as a administrator developer, first we deal with the sandboxes. Okay, after testing only we move to production. That's what will happen. Okay, so just I'm stressing on this because this is most important. First day, this is what you need to know. Even though you know many things, if you don't know these basics, it is a problem. Okay, so just understand. Okay, so maybe to show you how it will be, right? So test.salesforce.com. Let's say this is my production username. I want to log into dev, right? I can enter username and password and login, right? I think I did not remember my password. If as soon as I enter, okay, so I can log into this account, right? Otherwise, in case if you forget your password, right? It's very common. We forget our password. Click on forget password, enter your username, right? So first day all these things will happen. You also forget password. To reset, this is the process, right? Then you will get one email. I am checking my email. Okay, so just I'm trying to see my email. Still I did not get the email. Yeah, any question? I think someone is not in mute.
Sorry, Srini, just join.
Yeah, please stay on mute. Okay. Yeah, somehow I did not get the email. Let me. I think I have that in some other email. Let me open that also. In that also it is not there. Okay, I think I have to check it. I think from long time I did not really maintaining these things. Maybe I can also click on login from here. So really I forgot. Let me try one more time. Okay, I'll maybe try with some other sandbox. Let me forgot password. Let's say for QA, I'm trying to reset the password. Yeah, I'm just checking my email. Yeah, somehow I did not get it. Sometimes there might be some delay. Maybe it take 5 minutes, something like that. Or since I'm not managing this, I'm not maintaining these sandboxes properly. So I need to see something. Okay. I'll again come back to that. Okay. So in general, this is the process. Okay. So just you need to know how this process. But for the time being, since so really we don't have access to these sandboxes, whenever it needs, I'll open my account and show you. But for you, as part of this training, no need to bother about having the sandbox. Okay, directly we are going to work in the production, whichever is created through developer edition. But all you need to remember, once you join in any real project in a company, we don't directly work in the production. Any enhancement, any work, first we work in the sandbox and deploy to production. Okay, so as soon as you know this, we are good. Okay, so for the sake of this training to understand, okay, so directly we work here. Okay, so in developer edition, which is a free account. Okay, and also before we proceed understanding, so when you deal with the main production, right, not developer edition, maybe enterprise or unlimited, the advantage is they'll be having more space to store the data, right? So click on company information. So if you see this user space, right, if you see here, data storage 10 GB, right? 10 GB is data allocated. But for us in developer edition, right? Let me go to our developer edition. This is our developer edition. So if you go to company information, click on company information. Okay, and if you see the user data space, right, only 5 MB, right? Really for business, 5 MB is not sufficient. Okay, so 10 GB means, yeah, that is sufficient for small business. For the client who is having even huge data, they can also increase their storage. They can request Salesforce to increase the storage, and they take the uh, additional price for the storage, and they'll allocate. So all those things will happen. Okay, so that's about this the development life cycle. Okay, so once we get the job, we'll be right working here in this dev, right? Our job will be here. We log into this, go to test.salesforce.com, log into this sandbox and start doing the work. Okay, in the process of doing the work, okay, out of these 100 requirements, right? So how in company, maybe most of you are working, some of you if you are fresher or new to IT industry, right? In project we follow some process. Let me also include that at high level, right? So it's not that as a team in Wipro, we are not going to work for all 100 requirements at a time, right? In companies, this is also important when if you don't have IT experience and you are going to apply some experience and get the job. So to do the projects, people follow the different project methodology, project. So Agile process is one of the famous. Again, Agile, there are different Agile process. There's a safe, Kanban, many things. But the common thing, okay, so you can say Agile process. What will happen? We don't work for all 100 requirements at a time. they work in phases. First phase, second phase, third phase, like that. Okay, technically we call as sprint, right? You see sprint 1, sprint 2, like that, right? So keep on until they achieve all the requirements. All these will be worked in different phases. Sprint is nothing but some, right? When we frequently hear, right? First phase, second phase, third phase, something like that. So this is also like that. So instead of working for all 100 requirements at a time, so let's say in the first sprint, let's say they are targeting to work on only 5 requirements, right? So 5 requirements can be done by how many people? That is also important, right? So let's say team lead is also a technical person. All these 3 members, they can do configure, admin, and development. Total 4, right? So 4 people, right? Admin or development, and 1 QA person, right? They are going to work on these 5 requirements for sprint, right? In general, the sprint duration 2 weeks. You see, right? They consider working for 5 requirements by these 5 team members, and the duration is 2 weeks, right? So in general, the first week is for the development, right? Admin or development. I'll explain what is that admin and development. Second week, QA testing will be done. Okay, and yeah, each person in this team, they take 1 or 2 requirements and work for that. First week, after doing the development will be done in this dev sandbox. They'll move to QA. They'll deploy to QA. QA, the testing team, they start doing the testing. It's not that we don't do anything in second week as admin and developer. There is some bugs, defects, right? We need to work on fixing those defects, right? Always we have the work for 2 weeks. So once that is done, they also move to UAT and finally production, like that. Okay, so in the second sprint again, that is also 2 weeks, right? Maybe based on some few things might not be completed here, right? Will be moved here again, right? Again, let's say here they are working for 4 requirements. Again, all these are the team members. Again, first week is for development, like that. They continue, right? Keep on, we work in sprints. Okay, so that is the process we see in the company. And also the big question, right? So if someone is really not having IT experience, so how we get these requirements? Where to see these requirements? Okay, so for that, in general, in the companies, they use some tools to maintain the requirements. Okay, some of the famous tools, just I'm giving some names. Jira is a tool, right? It's also cloud based. Jira is one of the famous tool to manage the project requirements, right? Project requirements and all those things will be maintained here. So not only maybe Jira, there are many companies, there are many tools. Let's say one of the tool, Rally is one of the tool. Different companies, they use different kind of tools, right? Or maybe I can also show you a free tool. Some companies, they use Okay, this is one tool. So we don't know, company to company, they use different tools, right? The purpose of all these tools to manage the project requirements, right? So I'm also just listing. We don't know in which company you join and how they maintain the requirements, but Jira is one of the very, very famous, the topmost tool you see in the projects. So there, right, maybe the Wipro company, they might be working on different projects, right? The Wipro company not only Salesforce project, they run hundreds of projects, right? So all the projects will be created under this tool, right? Let's say they have a project, Airtel SFDC app. Okay, this is a project, right? So under this project, in that tool, right? Again, they maintain users, right? All these team members, whoever is in Wipro. Maybe let me take some names. Let's say Amit is one of the user. Anil, Arun, all these are the different users, right? So all these people will be added to this project in that Jira tool or whatever the tool, right? And under the project, they maintain the requirements, right? All these 5 or 4 requirements, whatever I am saying, those requirements will be added here, right? You see, maybe all these are the users. Maybe the requirements under that project, we say stories are maybe, right? Again, different categories are there, right? Let's say for our understanding easily, I'm saying requirement 1, right? Here in this requirement 1, some subject, description, and the status, it is assigned to whom, all those things they maintain, right? So like that, in general, requirements will be assigned. On day to day, what we need to do, we log into this tool, whatever they provide when we join in the project, and look for the stories assigned with our name. Let's say Amit, whatever stories assigned to this person, so he will look into that, and there is a status whether it is in development or it is assigned to QA. So all those things, right? Like that, it will be organized. Okay, so yeah, this is the process. And also when we follow this agile process, how we update our, I mean, what we are working, right, to update about that progress. Daily stand-up meetings will be there, right? So every day, right, first week, maybe every day, Monday, Tuesday, every day there is a stand-up. Okay, so in stand-up, we say stand-up calls, daily some meeting, right? So what we did yesterday, what you are going to work today, right? All those things will be updated in the call. Let's say yesterday I started analyzing a requirement. Today I'm going to start doing the development, something like that. You need to update, right? All other team members, everyone, they update the status. So mostly it is a very quick call, maybe 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, based on the number of people, right? So mostly worst case 30 minutes call. Daily everyone, they join this call and update what they worked yesterday, what they are going to do today, right? So where they track this, maybe in one of the tool like this. Okay, and you can ask me, right? I don't know, I don't have any IT experience, I want to explore. So just to experience how it looks, you can open this tool. Maybe let me log in and show you, so that especially if you are not from IT, really if you did not work in the project, it will be useful for you. Okay, so just I'm opening So one of the things, right? I mean, the tools in general looks like not exactly same. Maybe based on the tool, it looks different. So if you see projects, right? I have only one project, training management, right? I'm opening that project. In that project, right? The backlog means in general, the requirements which are not started working, they keep under backlog. Okay. So the requirements which are started working, right? So they from backlog only they take. What will happen? All these 100 requirements, whatever I tell company, first we add to backlog. Backlog means the story is created, but still someone need to start working on those things, right? So for each sprint, okay, so from that backlog, some stories will be taken and someone start working on those, right? So you see dev, right, in development phase. Maybe you can see these things like a board means if you see here, these are still not started working and these are started working. Let me open one of this, right? You see this is assigned to one person called Chandrasekhar. So due date and at, at present the status is in due. So this is the requirement, and any question about that person will try to comment here. So like that in general you see like this, right? Here everything is tracked. Now once they are done with the development, this person can move that one to QA, right? That means it is assigned to QA team for testing. So in general like that will be there. Okay, like that the project starts and we work in the phases wise. Now the real thing, so what exactly we do when you start working for a requirement, right? So let's say this is the requirement, right? So first we try to understand, once you complete this course you will understand all the things, what are the capabilities of Salesforce, what we can work. So based on that, once you read the requirement you will be knowing what you can do. Okay, but in the process of achieving these requirements, so some requirements can be achieved with the point and click, right? We have Salesforce point and click without any coding, only with the configuration, right? Point and click is nothing but, right, configuration. People say configuration or administration, right? Simply we are saying admin. Admin training is nothing but the capability, how whatever the requirements we can achieve with the point and click without writing any code, right? Point and click is nothing but the configuration. We configure, we go and configure. We don't write any code. So that part we call as administration, admin, Salesforce module. Okay. So most of the requirements can be achievable with this point and click. No need to do the development, right? But some requirements, it is not possible with the point and click configuration tools. Okay. So that time we need to do the development, right? So development means coding, right? So maybe we say customization. People say customization. People try to use different terminology, right? That is nothing but development, right? Dev. So as part of this training, I am saying that there are two modules, admin and development. The meaning of admin is whatever we do without writing any code, all those tools, whatever Salesforce offer without writing code, all those things we discuss as part of this admin training. And whatever some requirements, obviously we cannot achieve with the configuration tools provided by Salesforce. We need to do the development. Okay, that we see as part of the development training. Okay, so for this, the list of topics, you can see the syllabus, right? At high level, creating the database tables, right? So here we call that as objects in Salesforce, right? How we create the objects and how we relate the objects, right, with each other, right? So when there are many users, right? So this Airtel company, so Pallavi is one of the primary user, and she's going to create 4 users. Real production, there can be, let's say, 500 users going to use the Salesforce CRM. 500 users, they log into the same Salesforce account. Who can see what, right? So the controlling of security, who can access which application, which record, right? Security, there is a concept that also we can achieve with the configuration. There are some automation tools, right? Automatically sending email, automatically updating something. For all those things, we have a important topic called flows, right? So I mean, we call as automation tools. Okay, as part of the automation tools, some tools are becoming outdated, right? From long time, we use it to work with workflow rules and process builder. Salesforce is deprecating. Deprecating means they are stopping to support after a few years. You don't see these things. They are encouraging to use flows. Okay, we call this as flow builder. Okay, so at a high level, right? These are the things. Okay, but exact topics I want you to, right, look into the syllabus. These things we discuss as part of this training. So anyone who want to start with Salesforce, first they need to complete this admin training. So let's say you want to work as a tester, right? Or you want to just work on only administration, you don't like to do the coding, or you want to grow as a business analyst, something. So for anyone who want to start with Salesforce, so blindly you have to complete this admin training. Okay, but so since it is not having any coding, so it is easy to learn by many people. Okay, the competition or the job, the pay scale what you get might be less. Okay, so along with this, if you also know the development, and also don't think that some people they directly ask, I want to learn development. In Salesforce, when you say you know development, it is already expected that you should also know, you already know about admin. Admin is a prerequisite for the development. Okay, here we do the coding. We need to do the coding. So, but not heavily. I can say it's not. I cannot say it is very dead easy, and also I cannot say it is very complex like Java, .NET, other programming languages. Okay, the medium level complexity is there. Okay, so when compared to Java, many things are simplified here. So mostly the Java people, if they want to relax their career, you see people working 10 years, 20 years. 20 years Java also still they need to struggle. There are many things to learn and they have to be updated with a lot of coding. Sorry, in general, they switch to Salesforce to relax something. Okay, that much full-fledged coding is not needed. It's a mix, right? We need to do some configuration. We need to do some coding. So they feel like it is very easy. It's like that. Okay, so now here the big question, when we say development, do we need to write Java or .NET or what exactly we do? Okay, so the thing is here, right? In any, when you say coding here, we work as a, it's like a full stack, right? You might hear a term called full stack. Full stack means end to end. When you take an application, right? You see the UI screens, the web pages, what we see, that is UI, right? So when you interact on the UI, some business logic will execute, right? And finally, the data stores in the database. Okay, we work in all these areas, but not very complex. Okay, so as part of the development, we also need to do the UI development, right? Yeah, when I say UI, okay, so to develop the UI, there is a language called HTML, right? Again, HTML, the web page is a combination of HTML, CSS for applying the styles, and JavaScript for the client-side scripting. I'll explain. All these things we try to understand from the scratch. Okay, so these are the things in general we see as part of the UI. And the business logic in Salesforce, we use Apex language, okay, not Java, not C++ or something. Okay, so we use a language, programming language called Apex. Okay, everything we discuss from the scratch. I am not expecting any one of you to know already what is this Apex, some programming basics. I'll be starting from very, very basics. Okay, and also this database. So we need to write some database commands when we do the development. There is a query language called SOQL, Salesforce Object Query Language, Salesforce Object Search Language, so DML, all these things. But very, very dead easy. I can say within 2 hours, we'll be knowing how we can write all these things. Okay, that much less syllabus. Okay, this will understand in a week how this Apex program works and all these things, right? So in a week we understand basics. Later all the different scenarios takes few weeks, and after that this UI. And here these are the generic things specific to Salesforce, right? So they have a framework called Visual Force. Okay, Visual Force is one of the UI development like HTML, and also later they came up with a framework called Ara, and later they came up with LWC. I mean, all these are to develop the web page. This is a old technology. Later in 2014 they introduced this. 2019 they introduced this. Nowadays everyone is expecting to know LWC. Okay, so what I'll do as part of this training, we understand basics of this Visual Force and basics. Okay, because basics are sufficient. Mostly we need to work with LWC in the projects. Okay, we understand in depth about this LWC, how it works. Okay, maybe to see easily, I'm splitting like this. Okay, as part of the development training, these are the things we are going to learn. And also in this process, when you deal with this Apex layer, again there are different types. Some logic should be scheduled. So it's not that when you click on some button on the UI, it will be executed, right? You can schedule to run some of the logic on daily basis, right? So how that can be scheduled, and also you hear the term called integration, right? Integration. Okay, so because when you deal with Airtel company, they might be using Salesforce for CRM. They might be using Java application for something else, right? They might be using SAP for ERP or some other business module. That same Airtel company, they have different applications with the different platforms, Salesforce, SAP, Java. They want to establish communication between the Airtel Salesforce application with the Airtel SAP application, like that. That time integration is needed. Okay, so the famous integration approaches is using SOAP API and the REST API. Okay, all these things also we understand as part of this training. Okay, so the first admin module, right? These things we touch and complete all this possible, and I mean you can see the full syllabus for that. And as part of the development, again I'll give 3 days demo for you to understand how the development and all these things. So if they like, you can continue there. So it's like that. So any questions on these things? Okay, so as part of this training, these are the things we are going to learn. Yeah.
Srini, I have one question. This is Ravi here.
Yeah.
So, with respect to the APIs, right? Are we still going with the SOAP and REST APIs? Are the Salesforce team is moving on to the microservices with the APIs?
Microservices.
Yeah, the APIs, the instead of using the XML or the REST APIs, now we are
Mhm.
going into the microservices, right? In most of the industry, in mobile technology, or in the
Mhm.
Java, or in the .NETs, we are moving into the APIs. I mean, it's already there.
Yeah, yeah,
Instead of using the,
these are APIs only, right? REST
these
API
are
is.
APIs, but REST and SOAP we are using it, but it is not a lightweighted comparatively with the microservices. So that is
Mm,
where probably, I mean, we can look into the when we get into the development phase, we can look
yeah,
into
yeah,
that. Just I have a one question on that.
yeah. So maybe the term microservices exactly we don't have here,
Okay.
but there are some concepts like platform events and streaming API, those kind of things.
So the
Okay,
request and
so
responses are request and responses still we are depending on the XML format or this REST and
so,
SOAP APIs.
yeah, REST API support JSON, right? Most of
Okay.
the times in most of the situations, what happen? 99% we use REST API in the
Oh,
projects.
okay.
90%,
Okay.
and we mostly deal with the JSON.
JSON only. Okay.
Yeah, request and response. Okay, that
Okay.
the
Sure.
when we start the topic, I maybe some people they don't know what is XML
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
what is
understand.
JSON.
I got it.
I start
Probably, yeah.
from those
We
basics.
can
Yeah,
discuss at this time, Srini. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. There are different variations, and also there are some middleware tools from Salesforce like MuleSoft. You see in most of the Salesforce projects, you also see MuleSoft tool used. Okay, so yeah, there again, they develop these REST APIs, right? Most of the times. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? So this is what we are going to discuss as part of this training. From next class, right? We'll continue understanding few more things, right? How exactly there are different types of sandboxes and all those things I'll touch, and again I'll explain about the standard applications. I'll only explained about marketing application, how Salesforce application, sorry, sales application, service application, all those things, how those looks, and maybe for these first 3 days, the scope is I can only explain theoretically, but after 1 or 2 sessions, next sessions, you see everything practically, right? I'll be saying we need to log in and mostly, right? I'll say you need to click here, you need to go there, that you need to click on new, you need to how you can give the name. So like that I'll be explaining step by step. Everything will be practical, right? 90% everything is practical. We take the requirements. It's not that something randomly I explain. First, before start working, I'll explain about a client. What is that client requirement and what are the requirements? In the process of achieving the client requirements, so what are the different configuration tools we have with Salesforce, right? So why we need to create objects, why we need to establish relationships, why the security is needed. So all these things, instead of discussing randomly, requirement based. We have requirement in the project to do. We work with all these options. So that way you understand, right, in a project, right, in an organized way, how we think for a requirement and develop. So really when you work in a project also, you don't get this scope, right? When you work in a project, there are 4 or 5 people. Maybe one guy might be creating this object, something. We might be working on creating a flow. You won't get chance to work on everything, right? But when you complete this training, it's like you worked on everything. That's why sometimes, so some people directly they work in the project without training. When compared to them, we'll be having more knowledge. It will be like that. Okay, so yeah, any questions on this training, right, about this admin training or development training, anything? So you can ask all our questions. With today, we are done with the demo. Okay, so the training is weekly 4 days, 90 minutes training every day, 3 days for practice. You can practice and you can ask your questions. There is a WhatsApp group. I'll add you to that group. You can communicate each other. There are many old students who can help you. Right. So yeah, in worst case, if you don't get any help, I'll also suggest some old students to connect with you and explain. That is also not happening. I'll connect and explain. It will be like that. Okay. Yeah, always you can ask questions in the training. If you don't like to ask in this group, you can ping me and you can ask. It's like that. Okay. So yeah, any questions? We are done with today. Okay. So any questions you have, you can ask. So the process is, yeah, yes. Yeah, I think whoever is talking, I think your voice is too low. Can you speak loudly? I think Amit, we are not able to hear you. Or you can ping in the
Sir,
chat.
we have to share the screenshot. Yeah, I'll chat.
Yeah, you have to. You can. I think now we are able to hear.
Sir, I am asking how the doubts would be cleared. We have to share the screenshot with you, or how
You can ask in
the
the group chat. Yeah, you can. If needed, we can take a screenshot and share and ask. Right. I'll be adding you to a WhatsApp group, and you can post your questions in that group.
Sir, is
Obviously, you
the
can ask.
Salesforce certification necessary for getting the job in Salesforce?
If you are in India, no. Without any certification, you can apply for the job and still you can work. But if you are in other country like US, Canada, you should have the certification for sure. It's like that. Okay.
And sir, what about the placements assistance part? We have to just upload our resume on job sites, right?
Yeah, correct. See, my part, right? I don't want to give some false promise, something like that. Okay. So I'm giving training from 2013. Okay. How it is working for my students, even for me also. Let's let's say now I want to switch the job. It's not that I look for someone reference, right? So all you need to do, have the proper resume and upload in the job portal. For sure, you get the better opportunity. So
And
I
sir,
can promise.
how to means judge the company's work culture just by looking at the company in the job portal. Means there are false reviews also. Can you means if we will ask you that we should go for this interview or not, would you be able to guide us on that also?
See, already you are working or you are looking for a job.
I'm actually working in a non-IT field, sir. Now I want to switch in IT field.
Yeah.
So
So
these are the questions which are means hindering me to join any course from IT background.
yeah, understood. See, for the switching for the first time, right, you should not decide which company you want to join, right? The getting opportunity is very important. We don't bother reviews or whatever is there, right? So first, go with any company wherever you get the first opportunity. So later stage, right? Once you gain some experience, then you can decide, right? Now, so once you gain your uh, real experience and have knowledge, then that time you can decide and you can go with some better choice, something like that. Okay. So yeah, first time I recommend you to go with any opportunity, whatever you get. It's like that. Okay. So any other questions, anyone? So what I am saying, after this training, for sure I can help you preparing the resume, and I'll also explain about the current project and the projects which you need to explain, right, in the interview. So it's like I'll be providing a resume with the project and explaining about the project. You need to adjust with your name and your email address and maybe your education details, something like that. Upload in job portal. If you are in India, Naukri, Monster. If you are in US, LinkedIn, right? And as soon as you follow this training, if you practice and read what I suggested in the training, you can crack the interview. Not only cracking interview, most important, after getting the job, we should work. You can work. That's the purpose of this training. Okay. Yeah. So the next session. So as per now, I'm in EST time zone, right? In India, for you it is like Tuesday, right? So Tuesday to Friday. For you today Friday, right? In India. So as per India, yeah, Friday, right? So yeah, as per India, yeah, as per India, the training is from Tuesday to Friday, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days, 90 minutes. As per US, Monday to Thursday, right? So the next class is Monday in US, but for you in India, 23. Okay, so it's like a continuation. We continue wherever we stopped. From there we continue and understand and complete the admin training. So if you are interested, you have to pay the fee, which is the details are provided in the email. If you are not clear with that, you can ping me and share the receipt. Okay, so automatically one day before, I think maybe on Sunday, you get the updated meeting link and you can join here. Okay, so that's the thing. Yeah, before ending, any questions? Okay, so I recommend you to ask questions. Okay, sometimes if you don't want to ask questions in the group, you can, I'll be adding once we start the regular sessions to a WhatsApp group. You can ask there, or you can ping me. If you want to directly talk to me, you can call me immediately after ending this meeting, next 30 minutes or before starting 30 minutes for sure. I can talk to you. Other times you can ping me. If I have free time, I can talk to you. It's like that. Okay. But after this meeting, after 1 hour, I won't be available. I'll be sleeping if you are in India. Okay. So it's like that. It's like maybe you can keep like this. So you can talk to me before India, before 9 a.m. India. You can talk to me, or after, I think 9 p.m. right? You can talk to me. It's like that. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's like that. We'll continue in our next session. Okay. Thank you for attending demo.